I'm Caitlin Coombs with energeticcity.ca, and welcome to Council Corner, powered by the City of Fort St. John. Today we are talking to Mayor Lilia Hansen about items discussed at the Fort St. John Council meeting on November 25th. Mayor, how are you doing today?
Excellent. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, there was, during one of the council meetings, you viewed a presentation about the city's water supply and the future plan. Can you just tell us a little bit about what the project is and how it's going?
Definitely. We started this project back in 2018, and the presentation was looking forward what we can be expecting for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And during the presentation, there were some budget requirements, and they were a little bit hefty on the price tags. What are the next steps for this project as staff look forward to future budgets and future infrastructure plans?
There definitely were some significant dollars that were presented. It is really important. One of our major goals for the City of Fort St. John and priorities, we need to have clean, safe drinking water and an adequate supply, especially as we're seeing future growth in our community. Through what was the presentation that was made, we were able to look back at our current projects and what has been completed since 2018, as well as what's needed for the next 10 years. And as an example, one of the projects that we did that has definitely paid leaps and bounds on it, we have a backup power generator that's down at the Peace River at the water intake. And I think it's important that we have that steady flow. I think when there's no issues and people don't realize when there's hiccups, that's a good thing. So that was definitely a very wise investment that our community made, having that backup generator. And we're looking going forward, what are we going to need in the next 10 years? We're looking at upgrades and replacements. And a few of those examples are, we're looking at replacing our water reservoir on 106th Street, as well as upgrading the water reservoir that's on Northern Lights Drive. It's also important that we look at increasing how much we have for capacity as new people come online. And while there is a hefty dollar value, we are looking at what possible grants can we apply for, as well as working it into our capital budgets.
And certainly if you know several years in advance, I think the budget that they estimated went up to 2030 plus. If you have those numbers in advance, it's easier to plan rather than getting them year by year, I would imagine.
Definitely starting today and looking forward is the preferred method instead of having something come as a surprise. I think it's also really prudent that we make these upgrades now in slow and steady increments instead of having waiting till there's signs of failure.
Definitely. And it's been ongoing, as you mentioned, since 2018.
Correct.
What can residents expect in the next several years? Is there going to be major changes that residents will see, or is it going to be a lot of behind the scenes work?
I think it's important that we continue the work and look for those grant fundings. When do we have the opportunities to start making these steps? In addition to looking at what we can replace, but what can we add on? So we're looking at additional wells, and we're looking at doing horizontal this time while keeping our vertical wells as backup. It's important that we have whether it's a redundancy of water sources, but we need to plan for the future.
Definitely. And there was also a presentation by staff about traffic concerns. What are some of the major concerns that they brought up regarding traffic in Fort St. John?
Well, I have to tell you, as the mayor, I get a lot of interesting calls, and sometimes they involve, hey, I think we need a new stop sign, or maybe we need a crosswalk. And it's important that we hear from the residents as to, what they see for needs and concerns. We were looking at, what is the streamlined process that people could give that input on. It's also important that we track those requests, partly because we have to think about is there a capital expense to it, or is it something that we need to send staff out immediately? If there's a stop sign that's been knocked down, we can send staff out too. If somebody is looking for adding a crosswalk or a new stop sign, we'll do a traffic survey and we'll have it out for a full week, and we'll see, what is the traffic flow like? Is there a certain time of day when things are busier or not? as well as we get calls, hey, there's a lot of speeders on my street. What are you going to do about it? So we definitely direct people, please call the RCMP first on issues like that. And there's other things that we can see, you know, what can we do to slow that traffic down? And we work on that. We have a committee that looks at it, and they get together about 3 times a year, and they'll put those recommendations forward to council.
Okay. So this is kind of helping to create a new administrative procedure because, of course, I'm sure you don't monitor everything 3 times a year. Things get responded to.
It actually gets monitored year round, that's for sure. And it's not so much as a new procedure, it's streamlining it. How can we make it more effective? And people, if they see something, please definitely, you know, whether you call City Hall or you can use your report it to app online or report a problem on your computer, whichever way is most convenient.
Okay. And actually, speaking of City Hall, there was a town hall coming up on a zoning amendment bylaw. What can you tell me about the amendment itself if people haven't gotten their notices in the mail yet?
Definitely. Due to a postal worker strike, we have postponed the public meeting until December the 9th, and that'll give a little bit more time for staff to get those notifications out to the residents and businesses in the area. So it's pretty exciting news. The co-op is looking at a second phase of their development. They're looking at adding a second car wash, 2 commercial buildings, one including a drive-through restaurant, and there'll be more additional seating. And the public hearing will have an opportunity for residents and businesses come talk to council. Let us know, you know, what are your thoughts, or if you have concerns, if there's something, you know, you'd like that the proponent to take into consideration. And if somebody can't come down to City Hall, they're more than welcome to send in something in writing to Legislative Services or drop it off here at the front desk. And if they could have that to us by the 5th, that would be great. But otherwise, you know, please come on down to City Hall on the 9th and hear more about this project.
Well, certainly. I was reading a little bit about it. It sounds very interesting, and it would definitely be a nice boost, but it's also a lot of construction, and it's good to hear from residents who are going to have to live next to it throughout the whole procedure before you go forward with it. So
yeah, very true. You know, it's a community, and in order to make sure that we have the services that the residents want, it's important that we have their input. I'm excited to see that confidence that developers have in Fort St. John, that they're making that financial investment and we're continuing to grow. So that's a great sign for Fort St. John.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you will have some nice output and people will come and express their opinions.
I invite them down.
All right, wonderful. Thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you for your time.
That was Council Corner, powered by the City of Fort St. John. I'm Caitlin Coombs with energeticcity.ca. We'll see you next time.